if you need just a quick saw guide, this is 3/16 thick. It's really 1 inch if you measure it from the inside, but the outside is like 1 inch and 3/16. Anyway, you can make them as long as you want to. This one is 53 inches. That way I can get, or I should say it's long enough to where I can get a 53-inch cut off of a piece of plywood. That way. And then of course you got to have a stiffener in between it. Then you also need a support from here to the ground. You know, that just depends on the area you're working in. If you're working in the garage, you know, you won't have any trouble. But if you're working out in, say, some job site where there's no level concrete or anything, you have to work off the ground, well then you'll have to make some different supports from there to the ground, because you don't want to try to get this thing to support by itself a piece of plywood. But the nice thing about it, these things are long enough, it will pick up the saw, so it can take 2 people. One person can grab these 2 because it's strong enough and it's well bolted. You know, we've got one bolt here, it's on the switch, but here's the second bolt, and then here's the third bolt going through there. And then of course then you have to get the right kind of spacers. This is one of the original ones off of the original saw guide. That one there I had to use 2 nuts. I had to work them apart so I could get the exact distance. Same thing here, a bolt and a couple of washers got the right distance. This is where you have to make your final adjustment so as to get the right distance for your guide, so when you lock it down, it locks correctly. It is just a little bit of space in there, so I've just got some washers in there with where it's, you know, I got 1 bolt here. Okay, and then I've got 1 here, and then I've got 1 here. So I've got two bolts on the saw table itself, and then 1 on the support table. So that gives you plenty of leverage to be able to pick this thing up. So there again, I can get a 53-inch cut, and this stuff is relatively inexpensive, and of course I had to kind of grind this down a little bit so that this wouldn't be higher than the table itself. So I just took a belt sander, just belt sanded it off so that it'd be just a hair bit lower than the tabletop itself. And then of course I put a piece of laminate over here, that way I can, when I push and work through there, I can make sure that it's definitely up against there, because once you see a little blank space in there, you know it's starting to pull away from the guide. And I've been calling this thing the guide. It's really fence rails. These are fence rails, and this is your saw guide.